Hello there. Welcome to my barely visible channel. 2 months ago I made a video where I explained what playing League of Legends does to your brain, specifically to your cognitive processing. Even though at the time of releasing that video I barely had 1000 subscribers, it managed to break through YouTube algorithm and accumulate more than 200,000 views. Holy shit! But that video has one major flaw. When I was writing a script, I intentionally didn't mention anything about League's effects on your emotional circuitry, which led to the video portraying League as a super duper great game that is amazing for your brain. But the reality of it is much more complicated. This time I'm going to explain what kind of effects playing League can have on your emotional side of the brain, which involves a lot of fancy words like dopamine, serotonin, amygdala, and nucleus accumbens. But before that, I need to address some important stuff. As I mentioned, this project was major success, and with bunch of views came bunch of comments, which could be categorized in 3 groups. First group was genuine and positive comments about the video, which I appreciate a lot. Thank you very much. Second group went like, Victor! And most importantly, third group, which told me that I'm dumb piece of shit because I couldn't tell a difference between correlation and causation. Even though I put every source and research in the description, plus I explained everything in the first half of the video, all of that effort wasn't even close enough for some people to figure out what the fuck I was trying to tell them. So, because people like that exist, I'm not gonna provide any evidence or research for anything that I'm about to tell you. For all the neuroscience that I'm presenting to you, only thing that I'm gonna back it up with is very assertive. Trust me bro, it's real. But still, you wouldn't wanna skip this video because I'm going to tell you exactly what you expect to hear and explain everything in detail. So, let's start from the beginning. In the beginning. Yeah. When we are talking about League of Legends, we must realize that when things happen in the game, some things also happen in our brain. I have already covered cognitive aspects of the game in previous video, so let's talk about our emotional circuitry. There are few exceptionally important players here. First is amygdala, which is survival center of the brain, and it governs our negative emotions like anger, anxiety, and fear. There is also 2 neurotransmitters, dopamine and serotonin. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that is associated with reward, pleasure, and is essential in behavioral reinforcement, while serotonin is a neurotransmitter that is associated with internal sense of well-being and feeling of so-called happiness. Both of this definition is gross oversimplification, but you know what? Nobody actually gives any fuck. Everyone that has touched League, including me, can tell you that this game is very addictive. Why is that? Well, it is because playing League of Legends and video games in general is highly dopaminergic, meaning when you do it, the part of your brain called nucleus accumbens dumps bunch of dopamine in your system, which makes you feel good in the moment. The effects of dopamine on the addiction is a bit more nuanced, so let's discuss it in more details. As I have said, dopamine is a neurotransmitter. It is essentially a messenger that helps your brain evaluate whether an activity you just did was rewarding or not, which in turn influences the development of certain behaviors. For example, let's say you are visiting your friend somewhere in Europe like Poland. When you visit his house, he offers you a bunch of food and drinks that you have never heard of, but one of them is particularly interesting. You kindly ask, "What's that drink?" And your friend answers, "Compote." And you go like, "What? A compote? That's not something I wanna drink." In that moment, your dopamine level wouldn't rise or may even drop just a bit because you expect compote to be something undesirable. Then your friend goes like, nie, to jest kompot, a nie kompot. Kompot. After trying it, you realize that it is actually a really nice drink. You experience pleasure, and because of positive experience, your dopamine levels rise, telling your brain that drinking kompot is a good thing. The next time you have chance to drink it, your dopamine levels may rise in anticipation, motivating you to try it again. After drinking it and experiencing pleasure, dopamine levels will rise again to reinforce the experience as rewarding. That is how dopamine affects behavior. The concept of having fun is also pleasurable for our brain, and when we play video games like League of Legends, we experience bunch of it. I know, some people will disagree, but League is super fun when you are new. Plus, The game itself is designed in a way that triggers your dopamine production all the time. Like, you last hit this minion, oh, you get a gold. Gold is nice, I can buy items with it. Getting kills gives you gold. Taking towers gives you gold. Then you spend that gold and buy items. Now you are more powerful. You run faster, hit harder. Damn, this feels good, you know? Blow this thing up, bigger minions spawn. Blow all of them up, more bigger minions spawn. Destroy that thing and you win. This game is constantly giving you reward over and over again, which makes your nucleus accumbens light up like a fucking sky in New Year's Eve. The big plot twist here is that if you keep stimulating dopamine release, your body will develop tolerance to it. This means you won't experience as much pleasure as you did before. That is why playing League is super fun at first, but after months or even years of constant exposure, the game can become less enjoyable. Unfortunately, this can get even worse. When you play League, or other video games in general, two things happen. Your brain gets flooded with dopamine, which brings pleasure, and dopamine also inhibits activity in your amygdala. This means your negative emotions are temporarily suppressed. In order to understand this more clearly, let me give you an example. What do gamers do when things go wrong in real life? When they've had a bad day, felt embarrassed, or been bullied? The answer is simple. They go home and play video games, because it makes them feel better. Games provide entertainment and serve as a distraction from pain. So, even if League doesn't feel fun anymore, we still keep on playing because it can help us numb out the pain of real life via suppressing amygdala. Okay, enough of dopamine for now. Let's talk about serotonin. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter that makes us feel good. Not instantly like playing video games, but it is more like feeling of satisfaction with your life and the internal sense of well-being. Gamers who engage daily in highly dopaminergic activities rarely participate in actions that promote serotonin production. One well-known example of serotonin-boosting activity is working out, and the other is sun. Generally, activities that increase serotonin are not inherently fun or easy. They tend to be more challenging and don't feel good while you are doing them. Because gamers tend to avoid participating in serotonergic activities, serotonin levels may be low in their brain, and low serotonin levels make amygdala hypersensitive. This means that you will experience negative emotions more intensely and you will be more impulsive. That could explain why League addicts can be so aggressive and toxic in-game. Maybe. Excessively playing League over a long period of time can lead to an unhealthy relationship with the game, significantly impacting your behavior. This can be explained by elevated dopamine levels and reduced serotonin levels, which prime your amygdala to become hypersensitive. In the end, all of that might lead you to endless gaming sessions, staying indoors all the time, minimal to no real-life social interactions, a lack of motivation to do anything, and constant anxiety when you're outside the comfort of your room. Additionally, this may lead to impulsivity and anger issues while playing League itself. But, hold on for a second. Before we label League as a root of all evil, let me tell you something, okay? Just don't jump to extreme conclusions yet. Let me tell you something, okay? Let me tell you something! What I just described now is the worst case scenario. People like that are actual addicts and they need professional help. Most people are not like that. Most people just play League because they find it fun and they like playing with friends. Or they use it as recreational activity at the end of the day to wind down and chill. Yeah, I know. Who the hell plays League to chill out? They're a bunch of tryhards. Yes, I agree. But you have to realize that ARAM players exist. Anyways, one very important thing to note here is that League has complex impact on your brain. Cognitive functions and emotional circuitry interact with each other to achieve shared goal. Both dopamine and serotonin are working in tandem to help you function properly. We can't label one of them good and other bad. And likewise, we shouldn't consider League just good or just bad. Everything depends on how you play the game and why you play. Let's take serotonin for example. Even though gaming does not directly affect your serotonin levels, if you find achieving certain rank in League meaningful, you accept the challenge of climbing and put in the effort necessary, when you finally reach that rank you will feel great, and serotonin levels would rise, giving you sense of accomplishment. Also, dopamine doesn't just make you addicted to things. Healthy levels of dopamine is essential for your motivation and ability to pay attention. If your baseline dopamine level is too low, you will have problems concentrating on the task, which is main issue with people who are diagnosed with ADHD. So, even though I ended up making these two videos completely black and white, like League being amazing for your cognition, but also being terrible for your emotional health, reality of it is much more complicated. Whether League helps you improve your cognitive processing or ruins your life with addiction depends on how you use the game. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, then I hope to see you next time. Goodbye.